Hello, and welcome to the August 2023 AMA. Here are the questions my patrons asked for this month. If you'd like to ask a question for one of these AMAs, consider supporting me over on my Patreon. Getting to the first set of questions from Hannah Page. The first one is a bit of a longer one, so definitely check out the timestamp if you're not interested in this. But Hannah asks, what sort of exercises would you recommend for a beginning digital artist who already has some artistic training? Okay, so the first and most important part of this answer is that I am not a professional physiotherapist or type of person, so I only know what my personal practitioner recommended for me. This may change per person and per activity that you're getting up to, so please make sure to not take this answer as like 100% end-all be-all answer. That said, here is a run-through of the exercises I typically do. So the first thing I recommend is that if you're doing any sort of artwork or that you work in 30-minute or so blocks. Each time a block ends, I usually use a timer on my computer. I do some wrist stretches. I cycle between some Splatoon ones that I found and saved a while back by Captain Hanyu on Twitter, and another set that I found on some website. I'm sorry, I can't be more specific. Since I don't have like images, I'll just kind of roughly describe. So for the Splatoon one, you kind of have your hands beside you up, and I might just recommend searching that one because you kind of have to have it like specific. So I guess that is another good thing, is that you can look up wrist exercises and stuff like that. That's what I did for my second set, where like I pull back each finger, I pull back my hand for 5 seconds, stuff like that, holding your hands in front of your chest like a prayer and pushing down, holding that for 5 seconds, shake them out for a count of 5 and then repeat. Like lightly massaging the, like if your palm is facing up, the bottom part of your wrist, right where your arm connects to your hand. Stuff like that. It's much better with pictures because you want to make sure you're doing it right. But definitely like give a look to find those kinds of pictures and such. Additionally, 3 times a day, I do 2 sets of wrist extender stretches. There is basically, you hold your arm out and like you're going stop, and you press back on the hand that is going stop, and you hold it. I hold it for 30 seconds, and I do 2 sets for those, and then like your hands down like a zombie, do the same thing. Again, if you look up wrist exercises, and I'll try to maybe post an image of the ones that I have. I've been doing them so long that I just memorized them, so I don't even know if I have a picture anymore. But most of the stretches I looked up first, and then when I went to the physiotherapist, they were like, "Oh, you actually know a lot of these stretches." So that's most of the stretches that I do. A big thing is the consistency, right? So make sure you're doing it a decent amount. Now for the exercises I do a lot. The main idea is that you want to strengthen the muscles that you're using so that they can better withstand the strain of whatever it is you're doing. I highly recommend consulting someone who knows more about it at least once, like a physiotherapist, just so they can give you some input on what exercises work best for you. And like, you don't have to be in any pain or anything. You could just go to the physiotherapist the one time and go like, "Hey, this is what I would like to be doing, and I want to, do preventative measures and make sure I'm strong enough so that I don't get hurt in the future. What would you recommend?" And you give them information on what you're doing, the postures you have, and then with that information, they will probably make you an exercise program that is like, okay, you're using these muscles a lot, this exercise is good for that, or don't do this, or that's what I've been doing. So for me, I have a lot of exercises with my arms and some weights that help build up my arm and wrist muscles in particular. The other reason I recommend seeing a professional at least once is that one of the most important things with the exercises and stretches is proper form. Images can help, but having somebody watch you that is a professional, and then they'll give you tips, is much better. So I won't go over every single exercise I have, but to give you an idea of how much exercise I do, I already have those stretches that I do 3 times a day. stretches that I do every 30 minutes if I'm working that are different from the other ones. And then I have some daily exercises that are specific for like wrists and stuff, that the stuff that I'm doing more of. And then arm exercises that I do 3 times a week. So like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And for those, I do like 3 sets of 10 of each of them. And there's like 14 different exercises. So like it is a lot to do, but I can't emphasize how much it has helped in making sure that I'm not injuring myself. And like you feel a lot better when you do these exercises and stretches, because you're preventing something bad from happening, and it keeps you in better shape. Having a break from doing the work does honestly make you more productive, I would say, because you're kind of resting in a sense that you're not doing work all the time. But yeah, so too long didn't hear, go to a physiotherapist like once and give them a rundown of what kind of thing you're working for, and maybe ask like, hey, can you recommend an exercise program for me? So after that answer, the next question from Hannah is warrior, mage, or healer? Hilariously, Xenoblade 3 almost prepped me for this question, minus the mage because there's tanks instead. Definitely not healer. I have learned I am very much a high number, go brrr type of player. When given the option, I think I usually go for mages though, since I can mostly avoid getting hit when I'm in the back of the lines. Though, at the same time, I have played a bunch of upfront fighters, so I think it does really depend. As long as I can be like dodgy in some sense, then I do enjoy it. So probably mage, because they're usually on the back lines. Next question from Hannah. Have you ever haggled before? Was it fun? I don't really haggle. I'm the type of person that just kind of accepts the price as is, and if it's too much, I just kind of go, oh well. And the last question from Hannah is, do you get much snow? Do you like it? I'm very familiar with snow, yes. As for if I like it, it depends. I do like the look and atmosphere of fresh snow, but my main issues with it come from travel, as it can make driving and even walking very difficult and dangerous. If I'm not counting ice and just snow, I like it a lot more, since ice is like my enemy. But yeah, even snow still does have travel issues, but otherwise I do like it a decent amount, just as long as it doesn't snow. There was a day where there was someone outside, like everyone got snowed in, and I'm in a place where we're used to snow, so we can live with it, you know? So to get everyone snowed in for like a few days, people were outside with like plastic bins shoveling. That is how much snow there was. Do not give me that much. I don't want that much. The next and last set of questions is from Aquasun. The first question being, do you have any particular favorite architectural style? Probably a cliche answer, but I really like Gothic architecture. Old churches and the like are super fascinating to me, and it probably helps that there were quite a few buildings like that near where I grew up, so I got an interest really early. Next question. Do you prefer being a freelancer or staff? This is actually a tough question. I think on the whole, after thinking about it, I prefer freelance for the freedom, but the big edge staff has is consistency, and I don't have to think much about anything other than my duties. Like, I don't mind being a worker bee that's just like, I show up, do my job, and then I leave. And freelance is like, I have to do a lot more work and plan things out because it's all me, right? That said, staff work is way more draining, so if freelance had a bit more security and like less of having to figure everything out, then that would win, no question. Because all I'm looking for is like a consistent paycheck to just live comfortably, right? So it's like, as long as what I'm doing isn't just awful, I don't really, and I have like some time off, I don't care. Next question, what's the best advice you'd ever been given? I'm not even sure if it would specify as advice, but the first thing that really jumped out to me as soon as I read this question was when I was living with an awful roommate and talking about it to a coworker who's a good friend about it at work. She just asked me, why are you putting up with all of that? And that simple question really opened my eyes as to what my roommate was putting me through, and really did get me thinking, yeah, why am I putting up with all of that? I truly feel like I owe her for getting me out of that situation, and I'm really grateful for that. So again, I don't even know if that's quite advice, but at the same time, like, it kind of is, because it's like, it was framed as a question, but it was also like, you know, the message of like, you shouldn't put up with all of that, right? And I emphasize that if anybody is listening, and they're having a rough time with somebody, do ask yourself that. Why are you putting up with all of that? Because when I asked myself that, I realized that the why was not a good enough answer for like the stuff I was going through. And sometimes that just is it. And it sucks, but it's better that you get out of the situation. Sorry if that was a little deep. The next and last question from Akasan is, and last question of the video, what do you think about the current state of webcomics? It's a bit rocky while also being in a quote-unquote good place. Like, there's so many webcomics out there seeing success and a lot of quality, but there's also a lot of burnout and overwork and people being taken advantage of. Honestly, I think the golden age of webcomics for me was when like everyone had Smack Jeeves or another comic site, or even just DeviantArt, where they just posted their content. Was it overall lower quality? Yeah, but there wasn't really any monetary stuff involved yet, so it was all out of passion and fun. At least that's what it seemed like to me, well, a younger kid at the time. Probably just nostalgia blinding me, but I remember those days very fondly. And that is the last question for the month. So we're going to switch on over to the end screen here. You can see my lovely patrons scrolling by along with their patron NPCs. If you're interested in asking a question or any of the other rewards that come along with supporting me, oh my gosh, check out the link to my Patreon in the description. Unless you're tripping over what supporting is. Thank you to everyone who asked a question and anyone who watched the video. The support means a lot to me. So until next month, bye!